Read. Okay. This is an excerpt from the play A Pleasurable Deal, banned in no fewer than 4 cities for its lewd content. Its scandalous nature led to a number of widely distributed and illicit printings. Narrator. Come, here, fair folk, a tale now lost to time. In grief this man well sunk to depths sublime, a gift he sought to win his lady's heart. Our champion smiled, for now the game did start. Hi, Dante! How am I feeling? Congrats on first hat. I'm feeling pretty good. The baby needed to have a shower time, and so, I did that real quick. Now I want to read some of the books in Baldur's Gate that I've been putting off. And then I'll actually do story stuff. How you been? Robert the male tiefling crying. Carlisle stage fright, but no specifics on what they are. Flash smoke. Carlisle. Weep not, young man, though free your wife has fled, and comfort found in comrade's arms and bed. She licks her lips and cries his name, oh my, and now seek you the apple of her eye? Just chillin'? Nice. How does a stranger know such things, I ask? I watch you from the shadows, and I see your shame and grief for nature's milady. You seek to win your lady and her bed. Oh, I guess that's probably Maladay. You seek to win your lady and her bed, to have your name upon her lips instead. You know my curse, my pain, my grief, my woe? Of you I know, you seek a larger hoe, to plough fair maid, and sow a seed to grow. But lack to ye a mighty horn and mast, and with which each to guide a maid to bed and fast. Hi, Freddie! We're having story time. I have a lot of books. Once I read these books, I want to sell them. So I'm in a town right now. Oh, a transcript of the interview for the writer and director of A Pleasurable Deal. What's the inspiration behind this, if I may be so bold, entirely lewd piece of drama? It's about exploring the taboo, seeing who we as people really are. Yes, Robert makes a deal with a Cambion, but who wouldn't? Well, I think most people wouldn't. Then you don't know most people. Everyone wants something. Everyone needs something. Cambions can see it. In a way, they know us better than we know ourselves. Oh, did I forget to do the game? Hey, let me do the game. I know I updated some stuff, but not others. Boop. Twitch. Actually, I have a button over here that gets me to the dashboard. Yes, I updated the title, but not the actual stream. There we go. Oop. Okay. But at the end of the play, Robert dies horribly. What does that say about what we, as you put it, need? You forget Robert dies because he broke away from Carlisle. He didn't stay true to the deal they made. So you're encouraging people to make a pact with Hell's offspring? To give up as poor Robert did his soul? We only have one life. Why not make the most of it? So, what's your deal? I beg your pardon? In fact, this was your directorial debut, wasn't it? You couldn't even get published in the tabloids Baldur's Bash before this play came out. Did you honestly trade your soul for an erotic play? Alright, we're done here. This one I think I've read already. A is for... what was it? A is for... Azith. You should not ever pray to Baal, the savage lord of murder. His worshippers are killers all, who spread his darkness further. Shantea is our mother great, hers is the hearth and home. Our harvests on her blessings wait, and thus we reap what we've sown. Cyric is the prince of strife, god of deceit and madness. Watch for the dark sun and his lies, who will rob your bonds of gladness. Scroll. Beginning's legible. It's a sealing ritual. Our god cares not for petty ritual. There is only the sealing, and it is vital that we observe it with exact reverence. On the day of the sealing, a mixture of bone and ash is consecrated. Upon the names of the dead, we spread our offering, imbuing the ink with the essence of death, our god. Fair enough. I think I might have read this one. Oop. I now have Willow. Let's see. Death is too powerful a force for even a single god to contain. It is duty that has been passed from hand to hand, splintered into smaller pieces, disease, war, funeral rites. But there must always be an overseer of the cycle as life falls away. For countless aeons, it was Jurgle, the lord of the end of everything, presided over mortality with his unblinking stare until he grew weary. Young Baal, Bane, and Merkul must have thought themselves conquerors when they became for the god of death, yet he used their ambitions to free himself. Merkul claimed primacy over death from Jurgle's bargain, but even he does not rule death alone. What is murder if not one of the most violent deaths, seized by Baal in his incessant greed? What need was there for the noble Kelmvor to judge passing souls if one deity cannot process entire? Even gods can die after all. Those who worship death should remember this above all else. Rent. Renting Willow. There was once two sisters, one a great fighter and one a great cleric, who longed for new adventure. I shall skewer an elder brain upon my sword, cried the fighter. Into the Underdark. Do they hang out in the Underdark? I wish to know the secrets of the brain's power, said the cleric. Let us be off. In the recesses of the deep, the sisters slew darklings and darrow, bugbears and bullets. The two reached an Illithid colony from the fourth 10-day past. Off she goes. Their quest would soon be complete. With great effort, they felled a half-dozen mind flayers and soon reached the Elderbrain's lair. It rose from the brine pool at the center of its chamber, flanked by Illithids. Brain doesn't speak aloud, but the sisters could hear it in their minds. I am Chaos. Quaz? Anyway, Quaz. I am called Quaz. Why have you come? I'll make your power my own, called the cleric. I will crush you and bring an end to your tyranny, said the fighter. Brain hovered in silence. Wait, I thought it was in the pool. Is it hovering above the pool, or is it in the pool? A moment later, a burst of psionic energy shook the chamber, and the sisters lay dead. Good luck, Kaz replied. Illithids feasted heartily that day. You know, you don't just yell at an Illithid. A shepherd's son tended to his father's flocks on the banks of Chiantar. The day grew long and the boy grew bored. To amuse himself, he called out, "Beholder, beholder!" The sheep came running, but there was no beholder. Oh, the shepherd came running. Blip. The boy pointed and giggled, but the shepherd scolded him. Do not cry beholder when there's no beholder. Promise? I promise, said the boy. But the next day was as boring as the last. Beholder, the boy cried, and his father rushed to his side. The boy laughed and laughed, but the shepherd only frowned and shook his head. 3 days later, the boy spotted a round figure floating in the distance. It had one giant eye in the middle of its face, a mouth full of pointed teeth, and thin stalks growing from it, each eye peeking from the tip. Beholder, beholder, he shouted, but no one came. The beholder began to float towards him. The boy turned and sprinted along the river. He ran and ran until he reached a high bank and could run no more. Hey, Lux! We're having story time. The boy cried and cowered, bracing for the beholder's deadly ray. Instead, a familiar voice said, "Turn around." The boy turned. There was no beholder, only the shepherd clad in a woolen cloak. A giant eye was painted on the front, a toothy mouth below. Vines were sewn along the cloak's edge. Ah, so this kid needs glasses. All right. You scared me, sobbed the boy. That makes us even, said the father, as he dried the boy's tears. The boy never cried beholder again. The book's spine is limber from overuse. The corner of one of pages is folded inwards. I have rabbit ears. Balance is a myth. Where any clan treads, nature struggles. Unity is fiction. Men of mere flesh seek only to tame beast and raise flora. We are the thunder, we are the rain. We shatter mankind and grow new life in its place. No idea what that was referring to. Shadow Druid's Doctrine. Storytime good? I'm glad you're enjoying storytime. I had a lot of fun getting the position of my hand correct for the book. This is kind of how I read with my hand, like the actual position. Hold it up with my pinky. Publisher's note claims the volume promotes magical theory too radical for mainstream. This excerpt is attributed to the High Artificer Tharian Bryn of Baldur's Gate. I suppose they seek to silence me, believing that an artificer of the High House would not stoop to publish in any volume outside of the great Gondian journals they so diligently guard. But they forget that I am not so grand. Before I lent my name and my knowledge to the High House of Wonders, and all marvels therein, I was not but a lazy farm girl who liked to look up. And that was how I first saw them. The slow, serene earth motes, entire mountains migrating through the sky above. I later learned their origins, the ancient Netherese empire that fashioned them, the residual magic so potent it sustained them still. The wizards of Netheril carved marvels out of mundane, lifted the earth aloft for industry, for sport. It was later still, after I earned my place at the High House, that I learned of the long shadow Netheril cast along the evolution of our craft. That their great flying cities fell in folly and flames does not diminish the wonder they wrought, and this stubborn aversion to studying them, to learning what they learned, is the very antithesis of Gon's teachings. I have cat. I still don't have a picture of cat. Yowl. Yes, many catastrophes inflicted upon the centuries were fruit born of meddling with Netherese seed. Yes, their last shining bastion fell into shadow, their lore twisted to Shar's dark and destructive designs. And yes, I say again, whether the High House will sanction it or no, to study the very flame of creation is worth it, even if the fires consume us. Bold statement. Do I have two of these? Okay. Sell the second one of that. This unfortunately doesn't actually show the picture. It just shows there's a childlike portrait of 3 stick ears, a goblin with sparky hands, a square humanoid figure, and an elf. Each of them is wearing a crown. One favor, one faithful servant, that is all I have summoned, no more and no less than Malice de Odern ever had, or indeed the mother of lusts herself. The yokel was quite a sight in all of its forms. I'd read of its foul odor, but I found it intoxicating, like rose water. Rose water is a pretty strong smell. But smashed a few artifacts, hissed at a master. The Archmage should have revered me for such conjuring. Instead, he threatened to curse me, to make me a rider. Yet my time will come. Soon I will return to Menzober and Sorcy. Then the Archmage will worship me. I will be served. Pat. This missal commemorates the founding of Rosemern Monastery. For my sins, it has only just occurred to me that I had lacked in my record-keeping of late. But then again, I know. We have been busy. In our fray with the Sharn thieves, we retrieved the blood, but one of the heretics sinned most heinously. They struck the amber encasing his blood with a maul of pure void, damaging the most holy relic. As if knowing of this blasphemy, the exposed blood shone with an unbreakable radiance, reducing the Sharn horde to dust for us to sift from this now holy ground. The relic became far too unstable to carry back to Hap. Thus we fashioned a simple chapel around ourselves here, and have encased the blood within steel, to be wielded as a most righteous cudgel against those who sit in shadow. To keep it from the lustful sacrilege of thievery, our simple chapel will become a great monastery, and the blood shall be secreted away within many more wiles than it was before. I find it hard to fathom that we left such an artifact in such an obvious open space to begin with. Alas, his light singes away the mistakes of the past, leading to a more fortuitous dawn indeed. Wait, they had like in the middle of the field before? I think I read this one already. I'm enjoying stories. Miriam, I'm sorry it's been so long since I've written. A lot has happened. First, some good news. Maggie Two Fingers won't be bothering you anymore. I paid her back in full. I'm sorry. She should never have gotten your name in the first place. Now, for the bad news. My love, I'm not coming home. Not for a while, at least. The money came from a mercenary group. Probably best I don't give their name. And I've agreed to a couple jobs in Icewind Dale in return. They paid me up front because... gosh, it's so strange to write this. Because they needed a warlock. They needed me. I took the deal that came being offered. I'm not going to say I had no choice, because that would be a lie, but I don't regret it. I'm a new man. I feel strong for the first time in my life. Aside from being awoken in the middle of the night by the smell of sulfur, he likes to drop by to see how everything's going. I have no complaints. If you don't reply to this letter, I understand. And if you don't want me to come back at all, well, I understand that too. I love you, Miriam. And I want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. Edmund. We followed Musharib's instructions so far, but something feels odd. We encountered no creatures along the way, only alien noises from all directions. Sleep evades us, and the muck of my boots has hardened into a permanent feature. Hopefully we find... Lost more hair this morning. I knew there would be side effects to coming back, but I didn't expect to be so... I hear him laughing, the lamentations of the omnins droning like a chorus. What is the purpose of this hellhole? He speaks through the walls, the ceiling, the floor. Is he the tomb? Is he... On the last legible page is a crudely drawn charcoal outline of a bearded devil face, mouth agape in a silent scream. Neat. I wonder where I picked that up. It's probably not reading as you go. And you're like, oh, when did I read this? There's rumors of Githyanki sightings in the region. Dawnmaster Inner Circle thinks we don't know, but it's all anyone can talk about. What do they want? Can they be after the blood itself? How would they have even found out about it? Personally, I'm excited. If there's really is a Githyanki attack, there's a chance they'll fire the lance. To see the light of Lathander himself launched forth from Rosamund's roof. That would be something to write home about. Brother Wellen claims he saw it once, and it was so bright it nearly made him blind. Luckily, he says it's quite hard to fire, but once we do, those Githyanki won't know what hit them. The sun had just fallen below the horizon when I first heard its call. 1,000 reed pipes at once, whistling a single beautiful, terrible song. "Luth along," said Jaw. "It's coming." Jaw dropped her pack and scurried up the nearest bitter. With a bit more effort, I climbed a tree of my own, and the two of us surveyed the grassy ground beneath. Ow! There it was again, above and beneath and all around, so close my skull vibrated from the sound. The ferns and foliage under me rippled and swayed. Jaw held a finger to her lips to demand my silence, and in one motion it snatched her. A vine, a tentacle, it hardly mattered. The hunter had found its prey. Jaw's screams welled, then faded as Uluthong dragged her away. I leapt down to give chase, but the creature left no mark behind. The grasses were untrampled, the shrubs unbroken. I had only the memory of that harrowing call to guide me. That's rough, buddy. The first page summarizes the contents, the remaining clumsily elaborate on them in great detail. 1. On not going to cities, the simplest piece of advice for sensible folk is to avoid cities entirely. On marketplaces, people often tell me, Harrington, my fleeces and turnips are worth more in the city market than a local village fair. Fools. To them I say fleeces and turnips will be robbed long before you reach Market Square, and you will have only lumps and bruises to take home. On taverns, all sensible folk enjoy draining a mug of locally produced ale in the company of their friends, but some of you may have heard tell of extravagant taverns that populate the cities of the Sword Coast. If bawdy names like the Blushing Mermaid and the Wizard's Staff were not sufficient warning of their impropriety. Hi, Mai! We're having story time. Because I have a lot of books. You're afraid. Let's see. I can hit the button. Oop. Let's see what you're up to.
So I see you there.
You're playing Final Fantasy XIV. Nice. Yeah, it's really late. You're usually asleep like a few hours ago, at least.
Her great ideas are generally less than.
But you know, it's weekend, so.
Hey, Erenville. As much as I want to grant your mother's her wish, I also want to respect yours.
You're blushing so much in that clip. I will not continue to perceive you. You enjoy sleep time. On sewerage. What's the point of that clip? I don't know. Sometimes people hit a clip button, but then they totally just do it at the wrong time. As far as I could tell, it had to do with the blushing, but I don't know. The like you keep a pot by your bedside and cast out the leavings into a communal pit of morn. Sensible and cleanly behavior. Many cities have dispensed with such simple methods of hygienic living, and instead, the waste of inhabitants coming and flows through grand channels beneath the very streets. Wow. Derek, thank you for throwing a log in the bonfire. A breeding ground for mucky creatures. Hello. Oh, why did it end up so loud? It's so loud. I guess I made it too loud. I was trying to make it not be obscenely quiet, but I think I overdid it. No. Don't worry about it. It means I'll switch it to the quieter version. I have that one still. Head pats! Thank you. I like head pats. So that's the only one that I made louder. The rest of them were fine. Yep. Okay. That's what it is normally, and you can tell that's extremely quiet. I'll fuss with it some more a different day. On becoming lost, cities are far too large and you will become lost almost immediately. A fellow once told me that Baldur's Gate is actually 3 cities in one, outer, inner, and upper. I believe he thought I'd be impressed, but I simply spat in his eye and sent him on his way. Harrington Nethalin. Gotta get ready for a movie, but it's nice to meet you on the raid. Nice to meet you. I'll probably be playing for quite a while. 'Cause right now I'm just doing story time, but I do actually plan on playing game. So on cities and how to survive them is just don't go. Avoid city at all cost, which is not much of a survival guide. An excerpt from the ongoing meta text Rebound by Deleted 16 characters and restarted with only 1. What, in Baldur's Gate? Or do you mean in Final Fantasy XIV? Because that would make more sense. I technically have a character in Final Fantasy XIV, but I wasn't allowed to log in. You've yet to play Act 3 in Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, this is my first run. I am just entering Act 2. I'm at the Last Light Inn at the moment. I think the only thing that I know I need to do is I wanted to talk to Will, and I think then we just gotta go wander off and find things. Have fun. Thank you. It's very difficult to romance Will, by the way, because he just doesn't interact much in the first act. Cursed land be cursed? Yep. Let's see. Scholar excommunicated from the Church of Denier for her heretical... I never know how to pronounce this. Okay, see ya later. He opens up on Act 2? That's what I've heard, yeah. I hope so. I'd like more interaction with him. Heretical? Like, I know heresy and heretic, but how do you pronounce heretical? 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 Heresy effort. To reconstruct the metatext. Her gods... Anal of lost and hidden knowledge. This makes me struggle. Of what value is life? Far too esoteric a topic to warrant any serious critical consideration between these pages, surely, or so it would seem at first glance. But once we push aside the mysticism and dewy-eyed sentiment so often clouding our assessment, it is clear that across all the spinning planes, each and every life does indeed have a quantifiable value. It is simply that not all are equally valuable. Consider, we already know that the destruction of our material form is not the end. If anything, our souls are more free after death, transcending planar barriers in search of resting place that benefits our deeds, beliefs, and station in life. But even this assessment is subject to market forces. Market forces. Sure. Lord Calvor, weighing our souls against how thorough we've given them over to other gods, empowering them in turn. There is, of course, an alternate route, not the end of the path, but the chance to retread it. Clerics across the realms wield the power to return to life any soul deemed worthy or willing enough, or have enough coin. It is strange, then, that these so frequently intersect with those deemed wealthy enough. Ah, there it is. For the components for such a spell are beyond the means of most mortals. I have interviewed those who have made such a return, and in truth found them to be most dull and unimaginative sort that I cannot possibly imagine what it is they're so eager to return to. If a true assessment of the journey is to be made, then there is simply no replacement for embarking upon it oneself. Perhaps one day this great volume of learning will make me worthy enough to walk that path, and wealthy enough to return. You enjoyed that thought experiment. Let's see. This book is comprised of several chapters, one each cited source, claims to contain first-hand transcripts with oral histories of several storytellers throughout the realm. Chapter 7, Valamor the Outcast, 52, Human Paladin, Oathbreaker. Given Valamore's reputation in Athkatla? The city she once called home, I met the former knight officer of the noble and exclusive Order of the Radiant Heart with no small amount of trepidation. She has lived an outcast for some years now, and the rumor of her characters quite preceded her. I spoke to one of the prelates of the order, who described her as a dreadful, sadistic traitor, warning me that to find her would be suicide, and that she would kill me before I could speak a single word. He was wrong. When I finally tracked her down, we spoke for hours, and I left with her blessing to share her story. I will not disclose our meeting place, as the order punishes those who violate their vows with beheading. Of course I regret it. Breaking an oath isn't going back on your word. It's not an ethical quandary. It wrenches out a part of your soul. Before, I could call on angels to fight alongside me. I could banish fiends back to the hells and demons to the abyss, all with a thought and a prayer. I lost my voice. I speak, but this isn't my voice. It's an echo. A whisper. Tell them this. Most days I wish I'd died rather than breaking my oath, but I'd never take back what I did, what I refused to do. Damn the order. Service became dogma, obedience was virtue, to question was sin, justice and duty are uncomfortable bedfellows, and eventually they'll make bastards of us all. Valid. Potion of animal speaking recipe? Acorn and rogue morsel. Okay. Peridal Thander. I think I've read this. Glory to you, bringer of dawn. My wife and I have been trying to conceive for nearly 2 years now with no luck. We've long been followers of your blessed creed and visit Rosemorn every Tuesday to worship at your altar. Please, Lord, I know you've given us a lot already, but if you hear our prayer, grant us this one wish, and you will find us in your service tenfold. And this is all that now stands between ourselves and everlasting joy. We have faith in you, Lathander, and are grateful for many blessings of your light. Babies are great. Good luck on having baby. Harpers. Most well known at the Sword Coast cabals, perhaps, but certainly not benign in its shrouded doings. Is it considered a shrouded? I thought they were pretty obvious. My sources claim that those belonging to this mysterious faction abhor power, but if that was so, why would they not expose the revelations of their inquiries for public good? Why indeed? Because knowledge is power, and the Harpers intend to keep that for themselves. I feel like you said a lot of words and didn't actually say anything. Shadow Druids. Weigh the life of a man against that of a sapling oak. Which do you value more highly? Ask a Shadow Druid the self-same question and be shocked by their answer. Their dangerous group utterly disregards intelligent life in favor of the plants and insects. Their perversion of natural order leads them to plan and execute plots so dastardly that the mere description of one will leave you glancing sideways at your begonias. The Order of Flerd. The least known and accordingly most dangerous of secret societies I have researched is the Order of Flerd. My sources tell me this shadowy conspiracy of murderers, mutilators, and tyrants regularly meets. They'll plan the demise of any number of innocent citizens of our fair land. What's more, they like it. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna go to a bunch of meetings, I would hope you would like the meetings at least a little bit. Otherwise, it's just work. Dark Justiers. I shudder to even to inscribe their name upon the purity of this page. I shall leave it at this. They worship Shar. Most of the pages in this age journal have been hastily torn out, perhaps for kindling. Thus the interlocking circles will bring the full moons to match the stars, casting darkness where it belongs at the bottom. Yeah, somehow when I read this for the thingy, I just didn't process it. I did get through there eventually. Academic disclosure. This research was funded independently and conducted at site in Avernus, first plane of the Nine Hells. Candlekeep does not encourage or promote the entrapment of mortal souls. Excellent. Soul coins, as a concept, are one of merciless simplicity. The sum of personal and magical essence, the soul, is bound into a minted piece of infernal coin and used as currency by devils and their cohort. They are frequently traded for their value, can purchase mercenaries, magical items, even fuel the strange engines of hell. However, there is a fascinating culture surrounding soul coins as well. I spoke to a devil who admitted she has one coin that she will never sell, for it is the bargain that got her promoted out of Lemur status. So does it have a soul attached to it? So a soul bound into an infernal iron. Oh. She connected me to a half-elf warlock who had promised his soul to a coin after death. I was able to look at his contract, which is reproduced below. The next 50 pages appear to be a painstakingly written legal document in Infernal with a headache-inducing number of footnotes. The soul coins literally have souls in them. Keep that in mind if Karlach ever wants to eat one. Thay is beautiful. Its people are warm. Its people are kind. I am welcome here. Rashemen means nothing to me now. Paratur means nothing. My travels are done. Come, my friends, I implore you. Come to Thay. Thay is beautiful. Rianne Forbeck. Okay, dude. This missile commemorates the founding of Rosemorn Monastery. For my sins, it is only just occurred to me that I had lacked in my record keeping. Didn't I read that already? Did I? Read that, didn't I? I'm confused. Did I read that? Oh, yes. I see. When I tried to wrap around, I missed. Oh, down here. Yes, Thay is beautiful. And then the next green book. Okay, I read that, definitely. Once Baal's favor has quickened within one of his beloved murderers, the bliss of his love is nigh indescribable. For he blesses his loyal with a new sensation, a mindless, instinctual, primal sensation that comes from within the bowels, an erotic spasm that washes over the killer in the moment of the murder. It is said that in this instant, his divine essence can almost be tasted. Forsake all other hedonisms, acolytes, for nothing can compare. Until the true ecstasies of murder wash over you, initiates. The scroll contains a prayer you may say after a kill, calling the Lord's disgrace to find its course in your body. This book is packed with tales of adventure. The monsters are ferocious, the men are muscled, the women are buxom, and the clothing is easily torn. Something is cleft in twain every other page, although you do find a passage that's a little less bloody. The woman's eyes were dusky, filled with mystery and promise. Balduran was intrigued. Anything, he asked? Anything, she said. Just name it, and it can be yours. And what do you want in return? Oh, just a small thing, she smiled. Balduran laughed. Nothing about him was small. I want your soul, Balduran. I want your soul, Balduran, she sighed. Give me your spirit, and whatever you desire shall be yours. Balduran considered this for a moment. Very well. I want a turnip. She hesitated. Your soul in exchange for a turnip? A nice turnip, nodded Balduran. Very well. Dark smoke swirled around the woman, and her skin turned red. Then you shall. The next couple pages have been torn out. When the story resumes, the woman, now fully revealed as Devil, is kneeling at Balduran's feet. Curse you, Balduran! I am bound to you, yours to call upon when you need me, and your soul is your own once more. Let that be a lesson to you, laughed Balduran. Never underestimate the power of a turnip! Did it show her true name or something? Okay. Of all the demon lords, few have made their mark on the world as firmly as Yeenoghu. Though his ravenous hunger is claimed to be mindless compulsion, there's nothing mindless about the thorough insinuation of his presence in the world via his chosen gnolls. But how are gnolls created? First, the chosen of Yeenoghu must do as their master wills, kill. A hyena then feasts on the corpse of the chosen's victim, and a gnoll is born in the gutted belly of the hyena. Gnolls thus born are hunger manifest. They ravage any living being, tearing apart body and bone asunder, leaving behind only bones. They care not for wealth or material gain, only to satiate their hunger. The satiation itself is an offering to Yeenoghu, funneled directly to him. Some might envy the gnolls for such a tangible connection to their creator god, but that envy would melt to utter terror as soon as the beast's rotting breath and wicked cackles made their way through the dark of the night. Through the dark of the night, people will find her. Bum, bum. If you should find yourself the object of gnollish pursuit, burn your corpses, cover your scent, and pray to whoever might aid you that there is no bribing, begging, or reasoning. For there is no bribing, begging, or reasoning with hunger incarnate. Gnolls be the guild seal on the inside of this cover belongs to a printmaking collective in Baldur's Gate. Collective, not a guild? Okay. Of course I remember. Knew the second that girl was walking she'd be trouble. Little thief, always in everyone's business, and that ward of Gorian went right along with her. No surprise a wicked god's blood was running in their veins. Sarevok and his ladder are always the first ones that come to mind. You know, all this started with a bit of iron in Nashkel. Everyone thought their weapons would rot out of their hands. Back then I thought the problem was a bad trade. Never took the man for a son of Baal. You dare speak that name to me? My mistress was turned to ash fighting those forsaken wretches. I curse Baal, I curse Irenicus, and I curse you. A hostile vampire. The five tore Tithir to pieces. I don't think anyone expected more Baalspawn showing up would fix the war that the pack of them started. Then again, they were all inclined to killing each other, eh? Good riddance. Here's hoping every last one of them has been wiped off the face of Faerun. I'm not authorized to be talking about any murder with someone like you. Take it up with the Sea Tower if you want to argue. But honestly, who cares if Baalspawn got it stuck to them? Their father is the killing type, after all. Several hundred more interviews follow. Most of them first. Sounds like you're not very good at getting interviews, my guy. Series of recipes with anecdotes about the meals. This is a twist on the traditional Dwarven stew. Those non-Dwarven can't translate that, so don't bother. No point in frightening yourselves. Just make sure that once you burn the alcohol away, do not add the dried venom. Substitute with another sour, whatever agrees with your milky constitution. As to how I discovered this one, back during my watchman days, a drow thief I caught spiked my supper. The look on his face when I quaffed it down was near as good as the stew. Excellent. An excerpt from the True and Possible Adventures of Tenebro Morrow. A pulp serial following the real-life exploits of interplanar ship captain. The real Captain Morrow is known to never to have left her native water deep and emerges from her room at the yawning portal only to exchange scrawled manuscripts for fresh milk, meals, and ink. I combined those to milk in my brain. Much is made of Barovia's gloomy climate. It is said that the mists are there to confuse the mind and torment the soul, binding travelers in a grip of such despair that the escape is impossible to contemplate. As the new bride parted the heavy fog, I confess that I felt no such malaise beyond the onset of a rather stuffy nose. The same, I fear, could not be said of my crew. Among those who had not already cast themselves overboard, the gibbering and weeping became such that I was forced to bind them to the mast entire, and navigate my fair bride alone. I went in search of the plane's dark master, having been informed that even my ship could not hope to breach the planar boundaries without permission. So I probed the mists, defiant at the helm, belting out a lively shanty of my own composition. The invitation did not go long unanswered. He appeared like the passing of a shadow overhead, sudden and terrifying. Or certainly that was his intention. But once the mutual assurances of destruction were dispensed with, we found in one another kindred spirits, and fell to conversing in earnest. At length a price for my passage was agreed. Of that price, and that man, I will say only this. He is surprisingly excellent company, given the stories, and the teeth do not get in the way of nearly so much as one would think. Good job. You flirted your way through things. In life, her service had been impeccable. Daily did she devote herself to the Lady of Loss. Daily did she free herself from the tyranny of memory. All in time was lost to her. Her relations, her preference, even her own name. Upon the altar of her devotion she placed her ultimate offering, her emptied mind. Shadowheart, I think I found a book about you. And when she died, when she awoke in death and found herself standing in the pale and fated city of judgment, she waited for the Lady of Loss to retrieve her. A million souls and more passed her in colorless gusts, but no hand materialized in her hand. No voice whispered instructions to her ear. No guidance proffered itself from the bleached and barren sky. Time, immaterial time, passed around her like air, coming and going, and still the goddess did not come for her devotee. Kelemvor pitied her as much as the Lord of Death is able, but could not intervene. This cleric of the Lady of Loss, unclaimed despite her worthiness, might yet have one more lesson to learn, that not of forgetting, but being forgotten. Shadowheart, you might want to read this one. I'm literally going to send this to you. Boop. Passive-aggressively handing my teammates books. The stained, well-thumbed pages filled with traveling advice that seems to be decades out of date. Those who seek to journey the coast from the interior regions lying to the east will typically seek out the Risen Road. Isn't the Risen Road like a... Isn't there like zombies in there or something? Maybe I'm thinking of, I just sworn the Risen Road had like zombies. I might be thinking of, other D&D inspired game. Brain. Dragon Age. Running parallel to the river of Chanthar, the Risen Road provides an overland route all the way from El Turel to Baldur's Gate, and has proven tempting to travelers seeking an alternate to the river barges that sail Chanthar. A portion of the road, approximately halfway between Eluntril and Baldur's Gate, has in recent years developed into an enclave of saloon worship, with a temple of not insignificant splendor lying near the road. Indeed, an entire village, Moonhaven, has developed alongside the temple and can provide food and shelter to weary travelers. Further east lies the Citadel Moonrise Towers, where a toll is required for onward safe passage of goods and folks alike. Some are tempted to go off-road in order to avoid the toll, however bandits and other dangers might cause them to pay a much steeper price. The Moonrise Towers was originally a Salune thing. Interesting. Okay. I have so many scrolls. I also have all the books in my inventory, so I think what I'll do is I'll mark all of these as add to wares. And then I'll put away the other books and read them later.